Episode, Microsoft backs up the Brinks truck for Activision. Get ready for some Netflix rate hikes, and we howl at the moon with Moon Knight. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, the Lakers Fast Break, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Vampires, and Vitae, plus all the great things that we do here when it concerns the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where you can catch us as the #1 tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook normally. Took kind of like a week off, but we plan to go back strong next week. We got a lot of stuff in store, I think, for everyone out there that loves their tabletop RPG streaming. So check us out there on Facebook. Plus, we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week right there on Pop Culture Cosmos at Facebook. Plus, our website, popculturecosmos.com, and more. And if you can support everything that we do, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my returning good friend. She is back and back strong, and also ready to go ahead and throw out some Vampires and Vitae at you.
Yes.
She is the incredible games master of the world of Vampires and Vitae, along with her husband, Robbie Ross. You got to go ahead and check out what she's doing today at Vampires and Vitae, wherever you get your podcasts and videos as well, plus all the great things that she does for Pop Culture Cosmos, including the other games that she runs at Pop Culture Cosmos. It is my good friend. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, great to have you back on. Glad you're feeling better.
Yes, much better. Woof, thank goodness.
Big shout out to Roger, who runs our Monday game. Hoping he feels better. No, he's been a little bit under the weather as well, as quite a few of us have been. So our thoughts are with you on that. Also want to give a big shout out to DZMM Radio over in the Philippines, one of our newest affiliates. Thank you so much for picking us up right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. J-Man Radio, we return to that great Arizona radio station right there for you. So welcome to J-Man Radio once again. We're on them. We were on the show. We were on their station quite a ways back, but we're back on there again. So we truly appreciate returning to that station. So looking forward to a great episode. Melinda, how have you been? How is the world of Vampires and Vitae? Truly glad to be a part of everything that you're doing with Pop Culture Cosmos and all that. But welcome back to the world of the living once again.
Yeah, pretty much is what happened last week. So apologies for not being here last week. But we have a brand new episode of Vampires and Vitae that's going to drop in mere hours, 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will release. That is, of course, in case you missed our live stream last Sunday. So it's the audio.
Well, I could beat you on that one because this will drop at around 4 a.m.
Oh, so close.
Yes.
And then let me think. So Wizards and Wine, it's probably going to be February before we get back to the stream. We had some stuff come up this week, and if we were to try to stream on the one day out of 7 that all the girls were available, we would bump Mitch off on Sunday. So we're just going to play a game offline, hopefully wrap up that dungeon that we're in, and get into the final chapter of Tomb of Annihilation when we come back in February. So fingers crossed that that's what's going to happen anyway.
You know, you can always, if you ever decide to tape it, and then we can always upload it later. Right?
No, that's true. That's true. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow.
I just wanted to ask, I know you reached out to everybody out there on your Vampires and Vitae Twitter that you were looking for other games to go ahead and get inspiration from. I was wondering if that came across you, because I was recently at the little shop of magic here in the Las Vegas area, which is actually not a little shop at all. It's a pretty big store when it concerns tabletop gaming and magic and all that good stuff that there's over for you. So it was really a packed place. I came across a couple ideas, but did you already come across with good ideas on social media?
I had a couple of retweets, but I didn't really get anything back. But I think I have found a nifty workaround because, oh my gosh, big story. Well, not really a big story because okay, maybe it is because you know what? It's in my life and it's in my universe, so it's huge. But so I'm gonna run the Wild Beyond the Witchlight with Wizards and Wine. Once we wrap up Tomb of Annihilation, which is what we're trying to do now. So we're gonna get back to the stuff that Wizards and Wine is really good at, which is like the whimsical stuff and very lighthearted and all of that kind of stuff. But what I'm gonna do, and this is between me and you, Gerald, okay? Top secret stuff here. I'm gonna
No one
have
else is probably listening, so
yeah,
that's okay.
nobody else. Just kidding. But I'm going to have an in-person game. And I'm going to take the Wild Beyond the Witchlight module from D&D and I'm going to kind of redress it with more of like the Ravenloft Curse of Strahd kind of feeling to it. And
Mm-hmm.
the climax is that both groups are going to be the big bad in each other's stories. And they're going to come
Mm.
together and there's going to be some PvP. At least right now, that's my plan. Whether or not the players allow me to do that and will follow the train that I'm trying to get onto, we'll see. But that's the big plan for 2022 for Wizards and Wine this year.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I sent across to both you, Mitch, and Roger something I came across, which was most interesting. It hasn't really become a big. It hasn't really become big in the tabletop RPG world, but the spy games seem kind of interesting. It's based off fifth edition rules. I thought that might be interesting sometime to go ahead and delve into. Didn't know if it was something that met your fancy or anyone else's out there in our group.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Yeah, I with Defiant. I'm waiting for the rule book to finally arrive in the mail, so hopefully that will give us something else to sink our teeth into as well. But anything that takes the 5e kind of rule set or like approach to play is going to be easy for a D&D player to pick up and run with. So yeah, I think that we should definitely do a special, at least one off of that. I think that could be fun.
There you go. We'll have
Yeah.
to take a look at it indeed. But for all your tabletop RPG gaming needs, please go ahead and check us out at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it is going to be a great episode today. We've got much to discuss that I know Melinda has been chomping at the bit at, including the latest Moon Knight trailer. We'll talk about the Moon Knight trailer that dropped, and if March 30th is a way bit away for us to go ahead and wait for some Moon Knight. So we'll talk about that at the back end of the show. Plus, also as well, Ozark has returned to streaming outlets for its final season, season 4. The reviews are kind of mixed, but is the crowd still there to go ahead and watch Ozark? We'll talk about that on the back end of the show as well. Plus, we've got not one, but 2 episode 4s to discuss as the 2 major pop culture series that are out there, Peacemaker on HBO Max and The Book of Boba Fett, both hit episode 4 this week. Which one was the better episode? I'll share my thoughts coming up as well. Plus, we've got TJ Johnson and I breaking down the big news of the week as Microsoft dished out some cash. So we'll talk about that as far as them buying Activision. His thoughts coming up here at the back end of the show as well. Plus, I know Melinda will have some thoughts here in a minute on that. So I wanted to go ahead and mention also as well Netflix just reported some earnings. They talked about how many subscribers they got. Did they meet their needs and the estimates that analysts were hoping for? We'll talk about the bad news compounded by some bad news for subscribers in a rate hike. That's coming up on the show as well. But first, my friend, it is Microsoft. I wanted to go ahead and touch on that because that's the big news of the week. Tuesday morning, everybody just like was going about their business, and very early in the morning US time it just popped up right there as like plain as day all over the internet that Microsoft just or is going to intend to spend $68.7 billion to go ahead and purchase Activision, pending approval, pending everything that goes through. Probably won't be until sometime next year before the deal finally completes, but $68.7 billion. They backed up the Brinks truck, the chunk of change, as I always call it here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they spent a lot of money on Activision, which is going to be, around now in control of obviously the Call of Duty IP, the Diablo
I know.
IP
I'm
from
so
the
worried.
Blizzard side
I'm
of things because that's
so
Activision Blizzard.
worried. Mhm.
So tell me your thoughts on this World of Warcraft, Overwatch. I mean, the list seemingly goes on and on. Even some
Spyro.
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Spyro, Crash
Spyro.
Bandicoot, uh,
Yep.
Tony
Guitar Hero.
Tony Hawk stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh,
A lot of current and dormant franchises that are very intriguing are now or going to be very soon in control by Microsoft. First off, I'm happy for the employees of the Activision Blizzard, who in recent months have undergone a lot of turmoil
yeah.
due to the sexual harassment things that have been said and done over the course of the past few months and years at Activision in a environment that has not been very good. Also, Activision and Blizzard, I should say, they're still currently under investigation by representatives in the state of California, so that's still pending and that's still ongoing. But I want to hear your thoughts. I know as a big fan of the Diablo franchise,
Yeah.
where it emanates from as far as Blizzard is concerned, your thoughts on this? It's really good because TJ is more of a console side of things, and I'm going to talk to him about that coming up here at the back half of the show. But for you on the PC side of things, what is your thoughts when you hear that Microsoft just bought Activision Blizzard?
I mean, that's a huge, 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 huge deal. I mean, I PC sure, yes, but like my main thing is definitely PS4, and I am concerned, much concerned, as the kids would say, um, because I've been waiting for Diablo 4 for so long, and have they are they are they just not going to do that on PS4 anymore? Are they just going to take that off? What about
Well,
Call
I mean, it would make sense exactly quite a bit of this library that they have not be on PlayStation in
I
some
know.
form or fashion, because they have to have whatever contractual obligations they have to meet that with Call of Duty, what maybe it's DLC or whatever that they need to do. They have contractual obligations. I'm sure Activision Blizzard does in some form or fashion with some of their IPs and properties, and they'll have to go ahead and continue those or ride those out as far as Microsoft is concerned. But a title such as Diablo, I don't think they're obligated to put that on PlayStation.
No.
They would just go ahead and put it Xbox and PC through the Xbox Games Pass.
Ugh.
To me, that's a win-win if you've got an Xbox Games Pass, because that becomes a first-party title that would just rock. But then
No.
again, if you're on a
No.
PlayStation,
Yeah.
that
No.
would just
It
suck.
doesn't rock. Come on. And not and like very selfishly, we're talking about Diablo because it's my favorite. But I mean, look at what PlayStation did with Call of Duty. They really kind of hung their hats on that. They had a lot of exclusive stuff, early access to different map packs before it went over to Xbox and PC. So that's probably going to stop happening.
Some of it they got to still continue to do, like for instance Warzone, since it's a free to play game and
Right.
is so heavily reliant on transactions, the microtransactions. I
Yeah.
would assume that's going to be still a cross platform. I would It would not be in their best financial interest specifically for that one. Now
Yeah.
it's not in their best financial interest to go ahead and do any of these, take away any of these multi-platform, because the MPD still says at the end of the year that Call of Duty, the previous years and the previous years are still selling like hotcakes. Like
Yeah.
Vanguard, even though the sales for it were down comparatively quite a bit compared to the last year's, it was still the number one selling title on the MPD.
Right.
As far as for the year 2021, and what was number two was the previous year's Call of Duty. So
Right.
I mean, taking it away from PlayStation in a sense, yeah, hits you in the pocketbook. But if the idea is to get people on Xbox Games Pass, I mean, that's the idea. Not just the Xbox Series S and X. And TJ Johnson, in my interview with him, was very adamant about that. It is about Xbox Games Pass, about providing a lot of fresh content to Xbox Games Pass, similar to the style of what you see with Netflix, throwing content out there at it. And I agree. I just think that I think there are going to be a lot of titles, a lot of IPs that are just going to be exclusive. We're already going to see it with Starfield later this year. That's going to be Xbox and PC. I just think PlayStation owners are going to have to realize that, yeah, I'm either going to have to go ahead and sign up for Games Pass for my PC or get an Xbox at some point in time.
No, I'm not. I don't think that
Why
PlayStation.
not?
I,
Xbox is a great value, man.
yeah, I keep hearing that, but I think that I mean, PlayStation is going to make a big move. They've got to, right? I mean, you can't. This can't happen without you having something, you know, at least planned, talked about. I don't know. There has to be something. I can't. It's not going to be the death of PlayStation. I mean, it's not going to be that much of a sweeping.
No, and yeah, I know both you and Jamie Monroy in the comments are really saying that it's both of you seem like you're PlayStation fangirl and a fanboy.
Yeah,
It sounds like both of you are, and it just sounds like that you're concerned. There's still going to be a lot of IPs that you want to go ahead and check out, like Horizon Forbidden West is coming out next month. You've got Gran
right.
Turismo. You're going to have the
Yeah,
Uncharted. You're going to have the God of Wars. You're still going to have that.
of
The
course.
thing is, though, that PlayStation, this rumored Games Pass competitor that they're currently working on, that has to be a real deal for them. That has to be something that they're going to have to choke on whatever that they need to choke on as far as money and make it happen and make it so that the first party games are on this whatever's upcoming Games Pass competitor. If they still go ahead and make you spend $70 on a PlayStation 5 first party title each and every time one comes out, that right there is going to be the ultimate decider for a lot of people why they might want to switch to Xbox Games Pass, because those first party titles you don't have to spend $70 on. You can play it right there as far as part of the Xbox Games Pass. It's just that
Well,
simple.
PlayStation has something sort of kind of similar, but it's more for like your older games, your more classic
PlayStation
stuff.
Now is just
Um,
not even in this league. Come
I
on,
oh
Melinda.
no,
Come on, come on.
that was a little harsh, man.
It's not. I
No,
mean, as someone who has PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3,
yeah,
has played all PlayStations. PlayStation Now is a concept that is not been well supported by even PlayStation itself.
right. Well,
It's not a good value.
I am I'm holding my breath.
You no, please. I want to hear it. We
No,
want to hear if there's something.
no,
If we, I
I'm
mean,
really
is
like I'm
PlayStation Now
holding.
a good value to you? If because it certainly has not been to a lot of
I
gamers out
don't.
there.
Yeah, I just don't want an Xbox. I do not want an Xbox.
Well, you don't
And
have to have an Xbox. You don't have to have an Xbox per se. You could play all these games off a PC, and if Xbox has their way, it'll be included Games Pass on smart TVs down the road. You can play it
right,
off your cell phones,
right,
etc., etc. So you don't necessarily have to get an Xbox. It's just right now more fundamentally operational for someone to go ahead and get an Xbox because it's a
right.
lot easier. But down the road, you'll be able to play it more consistently on so many different platforms.
Yeah. Well, and maybe getting the PC stuff will be something that we start to look at a little bit closer. Also, I don't even consider myself really a gamer. Like I don't spend hours upon hours upon hours upon hours doing video games. I have, D&D
Unless it's
for that.
Diablo.
Yeah, I have D&D for that, for spending hours and hours and hours doing goofy things. But I think that even if all of those titles do become Xbox exclusive, I still don't think that it's going to, as a casual video game enthusiast, I still don't think that it's going to entice me, a casual gaming person, to switch over and buy an Xbox and sign up
Well,
for
a
everything.
games it won't be Xbox exclusive. It'll be Games Pass exclusive. I want to make sure everybody understands it. It'll be Games Pass exclusive.
Right. I still don't think that I'm going to buy into it. I
Even if
still,
it's Diablo 4,
even if it's Diablo 4, I just don't think I'll play it. and that it hurts my soul. It hurts my soul to say it. It does because I love those games so much. But yeah, I just don't think that I will play it. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I just don't I can't. I can't for whatever
Even
reason.
off your PC?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't game on my computer. Are you kidding me? This precious computer that runs all of my D&D games, I can't game on that as well.
Your cell phone?
She would have a heart attack. You kidding me?
You wouldn't want to run Diablo 4 on your cell phone?
No. No.
All right, that's
I know. I'm sorry. I can't explain it. I don't know why that is. I don't know when or what happened in my life that made me so pro PlayStation, but it
no,
happened
and there's
and
so many more individuals such as yourself that are pro PlayStation, and more power to you if you are. If you
yeah,
support the PlayStation brand
yeah,
wholeheartedly, more power to you. I have no fault for you on that. I will never fault anyone for that because PlayStation is an outstanding brand, deserves a lot of love. Again, I mentioned already so many different titles that they've had that qualify and are the reason. I mean, if you PlayStation 4 dominated the last console generation by a wide margin, why would you ever fault that? I mean, it's just that simple. But Xbox is trying to make it more enticing for people either to switch over to an Xbox or just go Xbox Games Pass and
right.
just buy the service because that's ultimately what they want you to do. Just buy the service. Just buy the
Yes.
service and be a part of the plan, whatever platform that you end up playing it on. Although I'm pretty sure you won't have Xbox Games Pass on your PlayStation. I don't think that'll work. But again, well, maybe you could, maybe people find out a way to do a hack. But
Yeah, right.
again, it's just something where you don't have to fault yourself for being a PlayStation fan after this major acquisition. Just
Yeah,
be open to the fact that PlayStation now has to up the ante. I think this is
I
going to be a
agree.
wake up call for them. If they don't respond, then maybe it is time for these PlayStation, just diehard fans to reevaluate things if they don't respond with something just as fair for their consumers. Because if you're an Xbox Games Pass, not an Xbox, but an Xbox Games Pass subscriber, you
Right,
just got a big benefit for yourself a year, 2, 3, 4 years down the line with
right.
this acquisition. It's not going to be an instant fix for you, but if for someone who has a game, for someone who's a Games Pass subscriber, this is going to be a big win for you and a reason to go ahead and have a smile on your face. If
Yeah,
you're a PlayStation individual out there, you want to see them. You want to see the hand. What kind of hand does PlayStation have to match or beat what Xbox is dishing out?
yeah,
Whatever they're planning on as far as the Games Pass comparison, I'm waiting to see. I don't think that whatever they're going to put out is going to be quite as good as Games Pass because I don't think they will choke on the profits of a first party game just
right.
to go ahead and make it part of a day one type format. I really don't. I don't think they will. I think they'll still make you pay $70 day one from it, but I still think that they're going to try and do things to satisfy PlayStation gamers to at least some extent.
Well, and like you said, with the amount of PlayStations that are out there in people's homes right now, I mean, you don't want to cut them and their money out of your thing either because there I can't be people like me can't be alone in this. Do you know what I mean? Like there has to
Oh yeah,
be
no, there's millions of PlayStation fans out there that are either concerned, interested, excited, and hopeful that PlayStation will
yeah.
offer something just as good for their consumers.
Yeah, and I just hope that especially because PlayStation, well, not just PlayStation, but folks have been waiting for this Diablo 4 for a long time. And with all of the delays and all of that stuff and now this big acquisition, I would be lying if I told you that I wasn't a little bit nervous about not being able to play it.
Well, again,
That's
I would be nervous too. But the
yeah.
thing is, if you're Xbox, you don't spend $68 billion and not make at least some of this upcoming library Xbox Games Pass exclusive. It would just be kind of defeating the purpose. What, you
Yeah,
just want the yearly profits from the Call of Duty for this? It's not going to equate to $68 billion. The
right. Yeah.
reason why they did this was for the future of Xbox Games Pass, similar to what they did last year when they spent the $7 billion for Bethesda. This is for
Right.
the future of Xbox Games Pass,
Yeah.
and for those owners of Games Pass, this week most likely just got a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at those big titles like Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, I can't imagine that they would just cut. I can't. I'm having a hard time coming to terms with them cutting a giant portion of that fandom and people who've been following these titles for years out of them cold. I don't know. I'm just having a
I
hard
think
time.
Warzone again will be eventually what the Call of Duty fix will be for PlayStation owners. I
Yeah,
really think
maybe.
it's not in their best interest to go ahead and Xbox and say, you know what, we're just going to keep it multi-platform like everything's fine. Yes, that does mean monetarily more short-term games, but it doesn't mean long-term gains for Xbox Games Pass if that's ultimately what you want to do. If Xbox Games Pass is the ultimate reason why you got made this deal in the first place, you got to understand that they are going to have to make short-term cuts that will upset PlayStation owners to benefit Xbox Games Pass long term in the future.
It would make me dislike Xbox even more.
You're,
It would
I,
guarantee honestly, it would guarantee that I would never buy an Xbox or
so
Games Pass. It would
so
guarantee
if
it.
Diablo 4, if Xbox
Mhm.
did exactly everything that they that you probably would do with a game like Diablo 4 and make it only on a single platform in Xbox Games Pass, you would actually hate them even more for that.
I absolutely would. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. That's interesting. That's really
There is a
that's
line
really
in the
interesting.
sand, Gerald, and it is called Diablo, and it needs to be on my PS4.
Wow. Maybe there'll be a hack for it because again we'll see whether or not if there's it's going to end up, but I'm
Oh.
just going to be a betting person here in Vegas and say it's going to be something that's you'll probably only see on Xbox Games Pass. At least to me, I think that would be the smart way to do it. But
I'm
we
even
want to hear your
okay if
thoughts.
you give them like a couple of months of, access before it comes over to PlayStation. Like, that's whatever. That's fine. Fine. Do that, but don't
Here's a
take it over
taste. Here's a
quickly.
taste for a day. Now come over to Xbox Games Pass.
That would be terrible.
We'll call it the Melinda 24-hour challenge. How about that
Oh
for you?
man, how far can you get in 24 hours?
Yeah, exactly. You got to finish the game. Come over to Xbox Games Pass. But
Right?
we want to hear your thoughts out there on this major purchase for the gaming industry as Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, because Microsoft just bought Activision Blizzard. Please share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Well, Melinda, before we hit the half-hour break, there's still a little bit more to talk about on today's program. Netflix, the wonderful people at Netflix have decided after the shareholders call that they recently had that unfortunately said that they fell short of expectations on new subscribers. Right now they really can't count on the US Canadian market for new subscribers. It's very small, under 500,000 usually as far as gaining new subscribers for each quarter, because it's the markets for these two countries are saturated, so
Yeah.
they're dependent on new subscribers all around the world. They fell short, and they fell, I think, at least 20% in after hours trading, although I'm assuming it'll bounce back a little bit. The good news for subscribers out there is that the Squid Game, of course, as a no brainer, was approved for a season two. Gee, the shock in that. Who would
Yeah.
have thought of that?
So surprised.
Yes. But the bad news is that Netflix, in order to, as they tell you, increase the number of programming, keep the quality, and blah, 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 everybody hears all this all the time and reads all the press quotes, they raise their price again. They're going to go ahead and move to a $15.49 US per month rate that will be now more expensive than HBO Max monthly charges. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. There's a lot of rage going on here when it concerns Netflix all over social media right now. There's a lot of Netflix
Yeah.
fans that are not too happy right now. Your thoughts on Netflix? Again, their expectations are a little bit different because they're now well over 210, almost 220 million subscribers out there. So I don't feel sorry for them. And obviously,
No.
they've done a lot recently to go ahead with their content, make it available and desirable for consumers out there. But your thoughts on Netflix raising the price? Is it a good thing or a bad thing right now?
So I just did the math, right? 1550 for the year. It's $186 that they're asking from each household with Netflix right now. That's with the increase, obviously, but um, it's still cheaper than cable. I mean, we're trying to get our cable bill to be a little bit more manageable, and that's still even less than what we're paying every month for cable. So I think that the value is still very much there for Netflix. It would be different if they weren't bringing us interesting shows like Squid Games and stuff like that, and still bringing it. Like I watched Interview with a Vampire last night. It just popped up on Netflix. So I still feel like it's good value for the money. Uh, there's going to be duds. There's going to be, a phase where you don't watch Netflix for like 2 weeks and then you come back to it and it's been refreshed and all of that kind of stuff. I still think you're getting good value out of it.
Yeah, I think you are. It's just
Yeah.
at what point does that break, or does that start to really get to a point where customers are going to jump ship? Right now, with what they offer and the content that they still offer, which is quite a bit more than anybody else, and something I've derided Disney Plus for
Yeah.
example, about not having enough content, because again, the goal should be having like a Star Wars on a Monday and a Marvel on a Thursday type deal, or some major IP that they have, even if it's outside of Star Wars and Marvel, be something every week that they have two or three things that people can rely on each and every week. And right now, Disney Plus, with the 100 plus subscribers and all the money that they have behind it, still don't have in place, which is kind of concerning. Yet
Right.
Netflix can dish out three, four things seemingly every week that people will turn to. So
Yeah.
I know it's right now. It's understandable because everything's right now, as far as the world, inflation's going up, prices are going up.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate sign of the times, and so costs and things of that nature. I get it, but you better back it up with a lot of good content. And there's content out there that was seen, like for instance, we just got to see the Cobra Kai. We got to see The Witcher. We got to see a lot of great things over the course of the past few months. They got to keep that up. They
Yeah.
showed a different Netflix original movie, I think, for each and every week last year for 52 weeks straight. You got to keep that up. You got to keep
Yes.
that up with their new and original content. If you don't, then we'll wait and see what happens there. I think that's going to be an issue. I know Jamie mentioned the Netflix gaming side of deals. Right now, that's such a small part of the equation. You really can't count on that yet. A lot of the things for them are still in development. They're still trying to work out deals. What's
Yeah.
the future going forward? Are they going to go console, mainly mobile? What is the direction of Netflix gaming? I think that's going to materialize in the next 2, 3 years. I think they'll be the next big entity to start buying development studios, similar to what we've seen from Tencent, that just spent a lot of money on Zynga. And of
Right.
course, we talked about Microsoft with Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. So I think Netflix is going to be the next entity to start really doing that, as far as buying some development studios and helping to kick things off. So 2, 3 years down the line, Netflix gaming could be a real part of the equation, or it could end up being like Google Stadia. We don't know yet, but we'll wait and see on
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a necessary thing, unfortunately. I think it's a necessary thing, and I think people have to come to grips with that. But there's going to be, like you were talking about previously on the previous segment, a line in the sand. There's going to be a line in the sand
Yes.
on a price for everyone around the world, wherever region that you're in.
Yeah.
There's going to be a line in the sand where Netflix should not go.
Absolutely. And as we're getting closer and closer and closer to that $20 bill mark, I don't know, maybe the $20 is it. 20 bucks a month for something is a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to be able to continue to push out the volume of content that they've been able to do and have that volume of content be good TV and good entertainment, and then you're going to ask people for more money, that's when I start to have a bit of a problem. But right now they're still pushing out stuff. I'm still very entertained. Please don't get rid of Star Trek, Netflix. Don't.
Well,
um,
that's a Paramount deal. Paramount is going to start
yeah, I
taking away
know.
stuff from U.S.
Don't.
and Canada, Canadian Netflix, just
Yeah.
so they can put it on Paramount Plus. And
Right, which makes it.
congratulations to all the Star Trek shows. They all got approved for an extra season.
Yeah.
including Star Trek New Worlds, which hasn't even premiered yet. They already got approved for season 2, so congratulations to all those shows. But yes, you will probably see, as far as when Paramount Plus reaches out more worldwide, you'll see less of their shows and their content on Netflix. But with Netflix right now, I think, like you said, the $20 bill is going to be an issue, because then it comes to the point where, okay, do I want to go ahead and spend my money monthly on Netflix, or do I want to spend it on all these other different avenues instead? Because it's going to
Right.
be either everything or Netflix, and then
Yes.
that's going to be an issue. So it's getting to that point. It's on the way that people are going to have to make decisions whether or not they want Netflix or everything else. So yeah, it's we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But
I
what are your
mean,
thoughts
really,
out there? Oh, go ahead.
sorry. I even
No,
know I know a lot of people who have been having the conversation about, cutting cable and keeping all of their streaming services. And if people are doing that, then they're saving money on cable, but they're still have to you have to hang on a second, one word at a time. You still have to keep like pretty decently high quality internet in order to be able to stream all of these different services.
yeah, it's
So,
true.
we're cutting cables, but we're not cutting them all of the way. And I think that um, that might be more of the decision that people make versus getting rid of Netflix. It could finally come to a point where you just say goodbye to traditional television and you have all of your services and you get your news and local information via the internet.
We'll find out. We'll find out and see. But yeah,
Yeah.
eventually it's going to get to the point where you're going to have to choose one entity over all the other entities that you have,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So you're going to have to weigh that out. But we want to hear your thoughts on Netflix's price hikes. Are you thrilled with it? And I don't think you are out there, but let me
No.
know if you're going to be able to live with Netflix's price hike. Please let us know. BobCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, and TJ Johnson talking again in detail about Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard, we had a couple episode 4s that were available this week: Peacemaker and the Book of Boba Fett. And for once, I cannot be saying it was the Book of Sloba Fett, because it was actually pretty good. Started out, with him, with Boba Fett riding a bantha. So I was thinking, okay, this is going to be another slow paced episode. But it turned out really good. It actually delved more into the relationship between Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, played by Ming Na Wen.
Yes. Who I
And
adore, by the way.
yeah, she's incredible, and she's very good in this, as always, with everything she does. So it just, the relationship, you saw how it started to build, how they met in the first place. That was Boba Fett in the Mandalorian, that came up to her as she was laying near dying. It shows how she got repaired, fixed, how she got modded per se. There it goes into detail about that, and it's starting to catch up to where they are in the present of the Book of Boba Fett. So the backstories and these flashbacks probably are going to be contained to a minimum going forward, which I'm kind of thankful for. I wish in the first place that they just told it from point A to point Z, instead of having to go always back to point A, point B, point C, and having, while they're still trying to take care of what's going on in the present. I think they should just told it in a more traditional point one to point start to an end type of format,
Right.
rather than what we went through. But I would say that right now it's got good. They were talking. It showed the mission where they went back to Jabba's old palace and got Boba Fett's ship back, and that created some excitement. But again, it all comes down to the impending war between Boba Fett and the Pike Syndicate for the control of Tatooine as a whole. So I liked what I saw from the Book of Boba Fett.
Good. I had some catching up to do because yay, we finally got our Disney Plus subscription back. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm about halfway through the third episode. So I am a little bit behind. And please forgive me. I'm going to ask a question. And this
Mhm.
question is not necessarily tied into episode 4. It's probably more of a mythos question.
Ask
And
away, young lady.
yeah, I just don't know the answer. But why does he sleep in a water tank?
That is a Bacta tank. That is a healing tank,
Okay.
because he has so many injuries. A lot of it stemming from the years, because he was stuck in the Sarlacc pit for years, and the Bacta tank helps regenerate the healing process in regards to that. We saw that in Empire Strikes Back, I believe, with Mark Hamill's character Luke Skywalker, when he
Right.
was in his own Bacta tank, recovering from injuries after he was almost mauled to death.
Right.
Yes, and he almost froze to death too. So yeah, they were going ahead and showing him in a Bacta tank there. So it's
Okay.
just part of the, and it also helps as a narrative to go ahead and use that for his
For
flashbacks.
his flashback.
So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
so that's
Cool.
part of the deal as well. But
Thank you.
yeah, that's the reason for the. But I think in this episode, as you'll see in episode 4, he's finally finished with the Bacta tank as far as utilizing it because he's now back up 100%
Okay.
until he has his battle with the Pikes, and again, maybe he'll need it a
Naturally.
lot more. We'll wait and see. But so far,
Right.
so good, I guess. As far as for especially for this episode, I think it was the pace was a little bit better. It was directed by someone other than Robert Rodriguez. Maybe that's why, I don't know, but it just seemed like everything was flowing a little bit better for this episode. I also want to mention Peacemaker in his continuous ongoings as far as finding out what he's discovering with the butterflies
Right.
and the people that they're possessing, and the how far and how spread and why that's happening. He's finding out more and more about that, plus his own relationship with his white supremacist father, who is not a good citizen at all, and who is, I guess, based quite a bit off of the DC character, the White Dragon. And
Okay.
actually, there was a White Dragon in, as far as costume, in one of the episodes. So he may be Robert Patrick from Terminator 2 fame. He might be playing the role of the White Dragon, which I'm thinking that he might be because he's treated like a white supremacist cult leader on the show. So
Yes.
yeah, um, John Cena Peacemaker has his issues, has his problems, but
Yes.
eh, so far, I guess again, I've had some issues with it, left a little bit here, a little bit there, but I'm starting to be okay with it for what it is. Again, I didn't need to know as much as I know in regards to Peacemaker, but for right now, it's okay for what I'm watching.
Yeah. I watched the first episode and I didn't laugh. I didn't really enjoy it all that much. You know what? The funny part was the eagle.
Yeah,
That was the funny
Eagerly
part.
is just
Yeah.
stealing the show.
When he
Yes,
hugs him, when he first gets anyway, that was funny. But
but he
okay,
Eagerly
so I
is
lied.
getting a
I
lot of
lied.
good
I did
stuff
laugh
in.
once. Yeah. Okay. So I laughed. I did lie. I did laugh at least once because of Eagly. But yeah, no, I'm just not into it. I don't know um if I'm if it's because I'm not the target demographic for the show, or if I'm just not a Peacemaker fan. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But due diligence, and I give everything the time that I think it deserves, and you get 4 or 5 episodes out of me before I decide to turn you off and never turn you back on again.
Well, we'll see what happens, but yes, it is Peacemaker. Just like I said, it is something that a lot of people out there are okay with. Again, it's a character that we wanted to see a little bit more of, but I would have rather seen him more in another movie, another Suicide Squad movie, as opposed to what I'm seeing now. But they're trying to put all this other stories and other backstories and narratives of
Yeah.
characters that you can either dismiss them or are interested in them. But when the ego again is getting most of the good lines and getting into most of the good action, it
Yeah.
tells you right there what's going on.
Well,
There is
also,
also, his friend Vigilante. You also see the going against guys like the judo master as far as the battles that they're trying to take place against the judo master, and of course the butterfly organization. So we'll see what happens. It is kind of interesting. It's very James Gunnish. It does have his imprints all over the place. Even if there
yeah.
are episodes that he's not directing, he's still writing quite a bit of it. So it does have a lot of James Gunn influence in it. So it's out there. It's kind of different, but again, is it hitting with you in either the Book of Boba Fett or Peacemaker? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, it is TJ Johnson talking about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. What are his thoughts as a gamer? We already heard Melinda. Now
There's
we'll
a
hear
lot.
TJ. Yes, yes. But now we'll hear TJ on his thoughts on Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the shows, the PCC Multiverse. It's Melinda Barkhouse Ross and me, Gerald Glassford. Want to thank so much again, TJ Johnson, for stopping by on the program. Looking forward to getting Jamie Monroy on the show for Monday, talking about a lot of great things, including Resident Evil Extraction, which came out this week. He's going to be talking about that. Hopefully, he'll be able to spend some time with it. He's not so sure because Ubisoft's playing some funky things with it upon its release. So he'll be able to answer those questions hopefully for our Monday show, plus talking about some other great subjects as well. But before we head on out, Melinda, a couple last things. Ozark has
Yes.
returned for season 4, its final season. Is this a show that's going to interest you? It's been kind of a under the radar hit, and it's growing a little bit more as far as the interest level for it. It's obviously been a show that it's out there that's gotten heavily praised in the past.
Yeah.
This year's start hasn't been so praised, but still, it rides off of a good wave of momentum of critical praise in the past seasons, and I think it'll probably end up being pretty good as well. So, your thoughts on Ozark before we head on out?
It's really funny that I haven't watched this show. And because it's the Bateman show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love him. I adore him. I think that he's wonderful in everything that he does. Even in the bad movies he's been in, I enjoyed because he was in them. So it's really funny to me that I haven't gravitated towards the show, but I don't know if I just haven't heard much about it or if just watching the little preview that they have there, when it just like automatically plays the trailer on Netflix. I don't know if that just hasn't grabbed my attention. I'm not sure what it is. So you know what's going to happen? It's going to end. They'll be like, we're not making any more Ozark. Everybody's going to go, oh yeah, Ozark. What was that show about? And then they're going to start watching it, realize there's only 4 seasons, and like 4 years down the road, we're going to get a revival.
Manifest. Can you say manifest?
Right? But that's what's going to
Yes.
happen. That's what's going to happen with the show.
I think that you're probably right, or it's going to skyrocket at some point in time at a random time to #1 on Netflix for just some unknown reason. There'll be something
Yeah.
relating to it or something that's just going to spark it. It always happens, and then people are going to be like, "Oh, curious on like again, like you said with Manifest, just out of the blue, it got canceled, went up to #1 on Netflix for several weeks until Netflix finally said, "All right,
Yeah.
we'll make a final season for it. You want it so badly, there you go."
Oh no.
So they weren't doing it. They were not doing it no matter the demand for a little while. They were kind of like teasing people or just like
Yeah.
seemed like Netflix was being dragged into it. So we'll see the kind of effort that they put into the final season of Manifest. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they'll do with the final season, supposedly quote unquote, of Ozark. We've already seen with Dexter that they will revive anything
True.
and it will do good numbers because Dexter New Blood did very good numbers on Showtime, and Jamie and I discussed that previously on last week's episode. So I'm very interested to see how Ozark finishes up this current run because I'm
Right.
going to say this current
Current
run
run.
and leave it on that. But yeah, I'm just thinking that this will be good for Netflix, and I think a lot of people will eventually gravitate towards it. They always seem to.
Yeah. And it could just be, it's taking people a while to find it. I mean, you were ready to start watching Ozark and then everybody started talking about Squid Games. You know what I mean? Like it could be that show that everybody's
Yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, I meant to watch that." And then somebody's like, "Hey, have you watched this crazy show about paying off your debt in this crazy way?" No, I
absolutely.
want to watch that.
So we'll see what happens with the final season of Ozark. But if you're interested, please check it out or your thoughts on it. Please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, it's been an awesome show, Melinda. Thank you so much, as always, for being part of it. You are a valued member as the host of this show. I want to give a big shout out to both you and Robbie. Hoping everything is going well for you both out there, plus also everybody that watched and listened to us. I also want to mention that next one day, again, Jamie Monroy will be stopping by the program. We're going to be talking about a lot of good things, including Rainbow Six Extraction
Yeah.
and some other great things, including what's going on in the world of pop culture. So I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts on maybe even Dying Light, too, because that's coming out in the not too distant future. And we kind of dropped out there that the game devs were talking about as much as 500 hours to complete. So we'll talk and see if that 500 hours is a little bit too much for us gamers out there when we maybe on the Monday episode, coming up on the Monday episode as well. But before we on out, Moon Knight dropped a
Yes.
major trailer for its upcoming series. And we talked about Disney Plus not having enough content in the
Right.
past.
Yeah.
And it kind of concerns me when Moon Knight drops this trailer. Something cool, something interesting. Oscar Isaac having all these personalities and not keeping control of any of them,
Yeah.
ultimately leading up to the one that allows him to become Moon Knight and be able to fend off the werewolf that he was trying to beat up, or what is he doing? Does he have an impending battle coming up against Ethan Hawke's cult-like leader type dude with the long hair and all that? It's kind of very strange what he's doing and saying. The power of word commanding over all these people. You saw them bow down in the middle of the trailer there,
Yeah.
but it ultimately leads up to a Moon Knight series that's debuting on Disney Plus March the 30th. So that's kind of concerning to me because there's going to be a gap after the Book of Boba Fett where you're going as a Disney Plus subscriber. What you got, Disney, that's new? You're like, there's nothing much there. So that's kind of concerning me there. That's going to be a 6 to 8 week period of time where you're a little bit light on stuff. But I do also want to mention the fact that this week there was a tragedy when it concerns Moon Knight, as
Yes.
Gaspard Ulliel died in a skiing accident earlier this week. Very unfortunate, and we pay respects and condolences to his family. He is going to be playing Midnight Man in the upcoming series, and I'm very sad to hear his passing. But your thoughts on Moon Knight, the trailer, and everything that's going on with this late release in March on the way out?
Sure. The trailer looked really great. I have been a casual comic book fan for a minute. The Wicked and the Divine was my series that I love to read. But I don't really know anything about Moon Knight. I can't recall anything.
Well,
I
that's
don't
the thing. I mean, now that Marvel's so heavily into the MCU, they're bringing out a whole bunch of characters that the general audience, like you and I, don't have a ton of familiarity with.
right.
And now it's time for Marvel to do the sell job on us to make us want to watch and care about watching what a series like Moon Knight coming up, and She-Hulk, and Ms. Marvel, and all these other
Yeah.
not I don't want to say frontline or not well known entities in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I think that you know what? I hope this is doing for comic books. I hope that all of these phase 4 stories that we're getting, I hope that it's intriguing people enough to go and pick up some of those comics. I really hope that that's happening for Marvel.
I hope so
Um
too.
yeah, I really do. I really love the artwork that is in comic books, and I love the writing, and the stories obviously are amazing because we're all enjoying them now. So uh I'm definitely going to give the Moon Knight, a shot. I'm going to give it a chance, and I'll see what happens with it. The fact that it's not coming out until March um feels normal, because this is just the first trailer. We're still going to get the second trailer, and then we're going to get, I don't know for sure. I'm saying we're going to get, but I'm not sure. So we'll have at least 2 trailers before it comes out, and we
Super
might
Bowl's
get
coming up. There'll
that
probably be one
too.
then.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there's going to be like I'm saying I'm sure, and I'm not sure at all. But maybe they're going to do one of those like first 5 minutes of the first episode or something like that. I mean, we've got a lot of time before the end of March, so we'll see what they do. Hopefully it's something interesting.
Well, that's the problem. We got a lot of time, and the Book of
Yeah.
Boba Fett is already on its. We're already over the hump when it comes to Book of Boba Fett 7 episodes because we're 4 episodes in.
Right.
So if we're already on the way out of the Book of Boba Fett, what comes in that gap as a Disney Plus subscriber, which really concerns me, and I will not be too pleased over the course of 5 6 weeks if I've got absolutely nothing for my Disney Plus subscription that I want to
Well,
feel that's new and fresh.
then
The Ice
cancel it.
Age the Ice
Cancel
Age movie that they've got isn't going to cut it for me.
it. Are you sure those movies are so good?
Well,
Um,
no, the newest one they've got. Come on, that's just that's just an add-on that we need to
of course,
give as Disney Plus filler.
of course.
Sometimes they throw stuff out there like Home Sweet Home Alone and some other stuff they throw out there that
Yeah.
is just Disney Plus filler. They talked about the Santa Claus coming back as far as the series is concerned. That to me is just Disney Plus filler. To others it might be something special, But to a lot of
Yes.
others like us, this is just going to be filler. But then again, I'm like a lot of other people out there that have Disney Plus only for the Star Wars and Marvel stuff that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? This is going to give me a chance to catch up on some of the Disney films that I haven't seen yet. I need to give Soul a second chance.
Good film. I liked it.
Yeah, I feel like and I don't know why, and please don't be upset with me, but I feel like I fell asleep, and I don't think that I saw the whole movie. Um,
That's okay. I
and
fell asleep 3 times in Free Guy.
yeah, there you go.
Everybody seems to love that movie.
And I still haven't seen Encanto yet.
Oh, we saw that a couple weeks ago. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I hear all good things about it. So,
Yes,
um,
Bruno. Bruno. Yes, we'll just
right,
go with Bruno.
yeah. So
You can't
apparently,
talk about Bruno.
no, you can't. That's what I've heard. That's all I've heard.
Yes, let's
And
not talk about Bruno.
okay, no problem.
No, 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 no. Let's not
But
talk about Bruno.
that's what I'm gonna do during that break. Is I'm gonna catch up on some of those Disney films. Plus, it's a chance for me to rewatch The Emperor's New Groove, stuff like that. So, I will keep myself busy on Disney Plus while I wait for the next Marvel or Star Wars thing to drop.
Maybe that was their plan all
Could
along.
be. It could be. It
What are
was.
your thoughts? Well, what are your thoughts out there on Moon Knight? I think it was a good trailer as well. Very interesting to see the different sides of this personality and the troubles that he's going through with
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac's different ways, different things, different characters, different personalities. Very interesting to see it if where it goes from here. So I'm looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to Moon Knight as well? Coming up as far as the newest edition of the MCU coming to Disney Plus later this year. March 30th is the target date, so we'll wait and see. But what are your thoughts on Moon Knight? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, Melinda, you've been fantastic as always. Truly appreciate everything that you bring to the show. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Just be nice to X. Just be nice. Be nice to PlayStation. Be nice to PlayStation. That's all I got.
And I'm not going to say I'm an Xbox lover or anything like that because I've got Nathan Drake right over here telling me I better not be right there. He's right there and sitting next to Shepard right there for you. So, yeah, he'd be telling me, he'd smack me upside the head and say, you better not be just loving Xbox right there for you.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
although next month when Uncharted movie comes out, I don't know. All bets may be off on that one. I may have to throw. We'll see. That better be good, or else I may have to throw in my Uncharted card on that one. We'll see.
Oh dear.
We'll see. I have my doubts. You'll forgive me if I have my doubts, but we'll wait and see.
Always.
But for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.